Hello everyone, I welcome you all to session 1 of chapter 4, How the Traders Became Rulers. So in this particular session, I'll be dealing with one of the important Governor General, that is Lord Wellesley. Now when Lord Wellesley came to India, he started the policy called Subsidiary Alliance System. So we'll be looking into detail about this policy and the victims of this policy. So first, the session will be basically starting with the introductory part of Lord Wellesley when he came to India and how he started the subsidiary alliance system. Then we'll also look into subsidiary alliance system, the terms and conditions of this policy. Then we'll look into the victims, the states who became the victims of this policy, and what challenges they had to face in order to accept this policy. And then the last part will be about the expansion of the company rule. So how the company rule was expanded by the Britishers. So it's going to be very informative and interesting to know about some of the important information about Lord Wellesley as well as the policy. So let's get started for this session. In this chapter, we'll be basically studying about two main governor generals. In that, the first governor general is Lord Wellesley. Now, Lord Wellesley was sent to India for two main reasons. Firstly, in order to serve their economic interest and to increase their political hold on India, Lord Wellesley was sent to India. So, here we can see two main reasons. One is economic interest, and second is to increase the political power in India. So, in order to make this successful, Lord Wellesley was sent to India. Lord Wellesley wanted to check France from becoming powerful in India and further wanted to increase its power in India. So he introduced a plan. So when Lord Wellesley came to India, France was having a very strong hold in India. So in order to stop this and increase the power of Britishers, Lord Wellesley decided to start a new plan. The plan which was started by Lord Wellesley was known as the Subsidiary Alliance System. So this policy was basically started in order to make sure that the power of Britishers increases as well as the economic interest also gets promoted in India. The subsidiary alliance system. Now we'll study about the terms and conditions of the policy. Now, as per the subsidiary alliance system, the princely states that accepted the policy had to keep and maintain the British Army. So, the princely states were compelled most of the times to accept this policy, and as per the policy, they were supposed to maintain the British Army. So, all the expenses were to be borne by the king. The princely states were also compelled to keep a British representative in the royal court. So, in the royal court, the princely states were compelled to keep a British representative. So, all the undertakings and the entire monitoring is done by the British representative, and the king is just like a puppet who has to listen to the orders of the representative. Thirdly, the British could maintain the army without spending any money. So the entire British army is taken care by the kingdom, and Britishers are not supposed to pay any money for it. Rather, they use this army for the protection of the kingdom. And the last point is the princely states were not allowed to utilize the army at their own will. So in spite of paying the expenses of the army, still they were not allowed to use the army. Rather, the Britishers' intervention was very strong, and without their permission, the usage of army was impossible. So in a way, this policy was a kind of a torture. It was like a slow poison which was threatening the life of Indians. So this policy was focused more on increasing the economic interest and to establish the strong British power in India. Victims of subsidiary alliance system. Now, subsidiary alliance system as a policy was something that most of the kings did not accept to follow. So many kings opposed in accepting the policy, but when they were defeated by the Britishers, then they were compelled to follow the policy of subsidiary alliance system. So they became the victim of this policy. So we'll just look into some of the main states who were part of this policy. Yes, of course, they were compelled. So it was not by wish, but they were strongly forced to accept it simply because they were defeated in the battles. The princely states which were compelled to accept the subsidiary alliance system were Hyderabad, Mysore, Ayodhya, Jodhpur, Tanjore, and Karnataka. So there are actually many princely states, but I have just selectively taken some. So all these states were very badly defeated in the battles with the Britishers, so they had no option but to accept the subsidiary alliance system. Expansion of the company rule. Now, in this topic, we'll look into how the Britishers expanded the company rule by annexing most of the states into subsidiary alliance system. Firstly, Nizam of Hyderabad was the first victim of subsidiary alliance system. So initially Hyderabad opposed against the Britishers and showed its disagreement to join subsidiary alliance system, but since they were not efficient enough to win over the Britishers, they had to accept the policy. Secondly, the British made the Marathas fight amongst themselves and consequently made them accept the subsidiary alliance. So Marathas were very strong rulers. So the Britishers created problems among themselves, and that's how the kings fought among themselves. And those kings who were against the Britishers had to fight with the Britishers, and they got defeated, and that's how they were forced to join the subsidiary alliance. Thirdly, Tipu Sultan refused to accept the subsidiary alliance just like the other kings, but in the fourth Anglo-Mysore War, he won successfully the three Mysore wars, but in the fourth Anglo-Mysore War, Tipu Sultan was very badly defeated, and that's how Mysore also came under the control of Britishers, and they had to join subsidiary alliance system. So this is how very smartly Britishers introduced this plan, and one by one, all these states were under the subsidiary alliance system. Subsidiary alliance. So this policy was actually a very big problem for Indians. It created a lot of problems for the Indians because it completely took away the freedom of the Indian kings. Whereas for Britishers, this policy was a great success because it helped in expansion of the company rule. The policy of subsidiary alliance system was in reality a document of losing sovereignty, which meant the state did not have the rights of self-defense as well as maintaining diplomatic relations with the other kings, as well as employing foreign experts. All these facilities which the king enjoyed before of taking independent decisions was lost in subsidiary alliance system. So entire decisions were taken by the Britishers. Secondly, this policy made the Britishers a supreme power in India. So this policy was a great success for Britishers as many princely states were under their provinces and the entire expenses were taken by the kings. So they were getting a lot of income as well as the cost involved in the military as well as taking care of the military men was entirely taken care by the kings. So it was a good success for Britishers in a way of gaining more and more and more princely states into its policy. So students, I'm sure you enjoyed this session. Now the task for home is to write down neatly these places and locate them on the political map of India. So it will help you for the better understanding of the chapter. So students, in the next session, basically we'll be studying about the annexation policy, the effects of annexation policy, and we'll also study about Lord Dalhousie. So this session is also going to be very interesting and informative, so you can also find some information and be ready for the session.